I'm saying you're supporting the person who engages in sin the same way you're a sinner, and that you engage in sin, yet you should be supported.
So when homosexuals come to the church and they reject homosexuality, they're no longer acting in that way. They are accepted.
They're not rejected.
What are you talking about?
Wait.
Andrew Wilson destroys this soy boy named Atheist Parker in this heated argument over homosexuality and pride on Piers Morgan Uncensored, as Andrew Wilson explodes on Parker for trying to gaslight and tell him how to be a Christian by reimagining his faith and with weak criticisms. And ultimately, Parker gets completely crushed for it. So let's get in.
Move on to another subject.
Can I respond? Can I respond?
Well, very quickly, yeah.
So one, I'm not saying that men can be women. We're making the claim that trans women are women and trans men are men, right? That's a separate claim from the original claim about pride. I do want to address the claim specifically about pride and how we're addressing like how people are negatively impacted. And as a society, we want to address this in terms of this so that we can reduce the likelihood of people being harmed or negatively impacted or not accepted in these communities. That's the point of pride in these conditions, right? Just because it is the case that issues have existed to a greater extent in the past doesn't mean that we don't have an issue to address today, right? In terms of pride, right? Like addressing that we should have acceptance of gay people. We should have acceptance of people in the LGBTQ plus community. So
yeah,
isn't it counterintuitive though, Parker, to say
like to add one
clearly
thing.
clearly it's backfiring. Like it seems like it's counterintuitive. If you push the propaganda that hard,
I think it's backfiring.
Yeah, it's backfiring.
Let me bring in Danny. Let me bring in Danny. Let Danny have a say.
Yeah, right. I want to highlight that what the corporations do, right? I might agree with you. Some of them sell out for pride, right? They, it's marketable. I might agree with you, but pride is way more than just what the corporations do. It's how people, identify with their sexuality and, kind of anti-bullying agenda. That's very important and central to pride. Whatever the corporations do, if they sell out, they sell out. But you can still have pride, whatever they do.
Yeah, you can have pride, but why do you have to have
Danny, though?
Why do you have to have all the commercialization behind it?
It's not organic, Danny. This is not
anti-bullying is inherently
organically. This is not organically people coming together anymore to force this. This is a bunch of NGOs.
Andrew, if you were actually Christian, you would be in support of pride. If you were actually Christian, you'd be in support of pride because you'd be okay with accepting people.
Is there a cardinal sin called
that's what
pride?
Jesus said.
Is there a cardinal sin called pride?
Wait, it's not pride in a literal sense. It's pride specifically in the sense
of actually a very good point. Pride is a sin. Why are you celebrating sin?
It's not.
Yeah, you're celebrating sin. Literally, what are you talking about?
You're misunderstanding. You're misunderstanding. It's not pride in a literal sense. It's pride in the sense specifically where we're accepting people specifically for being gay, right? For being trans. And that's exactly what
proud of it. Proud of it, right?
Christianity tells you to love everyone and tells you to accept people who are human beings made in the image of God.
It also talks about boundaries and limitations. You have to have a basis for virtue versus vice. Christianity is a virtue vice ethic, and your whole ethos is to defend your own personal vices because your ethics are all purely subjective. You have no basis for rights other than what you say is the case.
Jay, are you proud to be a Christian?
Sure.
Oh, that's a sin.
That's an equivocation. I didn't make the argument.
Let me know in the comments how you feel, folks. But right off the bat, the biggest difference I see is that this is men debating boys. Just think about what they just try to do with this quick gotcha. Oh, are you proud to be a Christian? Oh, it's a cardinal sin. It's like that is not the same thing. Being proud of being a Christian and how you live your life on a day-to-day basis is completely different than I'm proud of what hole I stick it in. Like those two things are wildly different in their full aspects. This is focused on how you get a nut, and this one is focused on how you live your life day in and day out, 365 days a year, up until the point that you die, and how you treat other people, and how you live in a society, and how you have a family. Like pride, what they celebrate is just about a nut, about what hole they stick it in. These are not the same things. And for these boys to think that that's like, oh, I got you, I proved you wrong. I mean, this is what we're dealing with. This is the regression of society that, like, guys this young don't even understand that it used to not be that bad. It used to be that someone their age would have been otherwise educated enough to know the difference. But unfortunately, this is what happens when, you left education, go to Democrats. It's like this is all they get taught, just this garbage propaganda, and they don't really know how to formulate a good argument. And the way this guy, Atheist Parker, tries to redefine Christian faith to actual Christians while he's an atheist, just think of the arrogance and entitlement of someone to do that. Oh, no, if you really were a Christian, let me tell you how it would actually work in your faith, even though I'm not one of them. So I'm going to tell you how to be the thing that you actually are. Like, just the arrogance of these people. Oh, you should accept gays, you know, if you actually were a Christian. It's like these people will always cherry pick which parts of the Bible just to suit their narrative. But as this guy on the right explains, like, it talks about all this other stuff. It's a whole composite. You can't just take one sliver out of it and then try to use it in a gotcha moment. Like, I mean, let me know, folks, but this is just pathetic. But hit that like button if you're enjoying the video, and let's get back in.
Argument, that's an equivocation.
We're not talking about the cardinal
What's
sin.
an equivocation fallacy?
We're talking about the sense of pride that matters, you know, to your identity, who you are, Christian.
I said virtue,
gay,
vice,
straight.
ethic, and you used an argument from equivocation. It's two different uses of the word.
No, you're equivocating.
Wait, that's what
you brought up the cardinal sin.
No. Yes, you are. I didn't say that pride is the sin that is.
Respectfully, wasn't that exactly what you guys were doing when I said that pride wasn't used in a literal sense, but then you guys equivocated and said that we were...
I didn't make that argument. Andrew made that argument. I said you don't have a basis for virtue or vice.
So Andrew made a mistake. So Andrew made a mistake.
I said you don't have a basis for virtue or vice.
We were basing this around the idea that Parker said. What Parker said specifically here was, well, wait a second. If you're a Christian, you should be all about this. And it's like, no, not really. And you haven't really demonstrated how. Why, Parker? Why is it that we need to support homosexuality as Christians, Parker? Tell us why.
Well, I was saying that you should be loving of thy neighbor as you're referencing specifically people, right? Human beings, right? If you're referencing
why does that mean we have to support homosexuality? Why do we have to support homosexuality?
I'm saying that you have to be accepting of people who are homosexual.
Why do we need to support homosexuality, Parker?
Okay, we're not saying you need to support like engaging in gay intercourse. We're saying that you need to support people who are gay as they are people created in the image of God.
Why do we need to support them? Why do we need to support them in things that we consider sinful? You want us to support sin?
Wait, I'm not saying that you should necessarily support sin. I'm saying you're supporting the person who engages in sin the same way you're a sinner, and that you engage in sin, yet you should be supported.
So when homosexuals come to the church and they reject homosexuality, they're no longer acting in that way. They are accepted.
They're not rejected.
What are you talking about?
Wait, by the way, nothing in the Bible says that being...
So there's a vice, virtue, ethic that they're not understanding. It's not an identity. It's a vice.
Wait,
look, I want to bring this. I want to bring the pride bit to an end. We're going to move on to the last topic. All I would say is, look, I absolutely do not think homosexuality is a sin. I completely respect everyone's right to have any sexuality they like. I just don't see the point in spending a whole month allowing companies to virtue signal their way into making tons of money out of it. I just think it's the grasping commercialization of sexuality that I find so objectionable.
Is your issue just how long? Is it you just want a week or a day? Like, what do you? Is that the issue?
If you want to have a pride day, fine. But why a month? Goes on and on and on.
It's a month or a day.
Yeah, Andrew Wilson is completely right. This kid, Atheist Parker, hasn't demonstrated why Christians against their faith should do completely the opposite of what it otherwise literally says in their faith. Like, he hasn't demonstrated that literally at all. The only thing he says is like, oh, well, if we're all sinners, then you eat, like, essentially, if you're a sinner, you don't get to actually stand up for anything or, you know, say anything to anyone else. Well, where does that leave everybody? If everyone's a sinner, that means no one can tell anybody anything. That means you're not going to listen to anybody anytime. Like, where does that leave everybody? That's the extreme that far left liberals like Atheist Parker and this other guy will go just to try and prove their point right. Like, they'll burn the house down just to prove it was made of ash. Like, it's utterly absurd. Just in any faith, there are rules, there are guidelines, there are teachings, and it tells you how to walk in your faith and what not to do. And this is one of those what not to do moments that he's trying to gaslight Andrew Wilson into believing, oh, well, if you really were the thing that you said, and if you really did believe it, and considering you're a sinner and you have no right to tell anybody else what to do, then you should just accept him and, you know, every homosexual and everyone else, literally, even the people who act like dogs, furries, they all have to be accepted because you don't get to tell anybody anything. This is the insanity of the liberal logic as it is now. They will argue themselves into complete doom. But thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about what Andrew Wilson had to say, crushing this weak soy boy, Atheist Parker, on Piers Morgan Uncensored. Take care, like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.